Okay, this video is just a really quick one to remind Panasonic Lumix S5 Mark II and Mark II X users that today is the day that they can download the latest software. So it was released a few hours ago. So here in the UK, it's available this morning, and you can sort of just jump in and you can grab it on here. So we talked about the features that were available in it in a previous video. I'll link that above, but you know, there's a few good top line features like we've got a photography PreBurst and things like proxy recording. So what you want to do is run over to here. I'll leave this link in the description for you. By default, it generally opens the Micro Four Thirds tab, so you'll just want to jump into the full frame system camera and lens tab, and then that'll just reload the whole page. And then you can see down here we've got two new firmware updates. So if you're on the S5 Mark II, you're going to want to be downloading the version 3 update. And if you're on the S5 Mark II X, you'll want to be downloading the version 2 update. Make sure you're getting the right one. If you're on the X, make sure you're getting this version 2 update. If you're on the standard 2, make sure you're doing the version 3 update. That's a bit confusing, isn't it? But yeah, just make sure you're getting the right one from here, because they're not kind of like mix and match kind of firmware updates. You need the right one for the right camera. And then once you've got the one you need, you can just click on and you can download it. And I'll leave a link actually to how you can do Lumix firmware updates. If you're not sure, you've never done this before, I've got a full video about how you can do all of these updates, and it will give you in here. You can see we've got everything. This is the whole change log for all the firmware, so you can see the latest one is here, and it's a big update, so it's definitely worth doing. You know, like just for, you know, as an absolute base, you've got improved AF, improved image stabilization through e-stabilization, and then you've got things like as an additional, you might not use some of them, you've got frame IO, proxy recording, these types of things, but you know, as an update, it's a really big one. So just make sure you come in and you grab it, and there's always going to be things like this, operational stability and little bug fixes. So even if you think, well, I don't need any of this, which you probably will, because part of it revolves around like the AF system of the camera, but you know, there's always little bug fixes and things to be had in these firmware updates. So just make sure you jump in and you kind of grab it. And like I say, I'll have a video about how to kind of install that, and you'll be able to just jump across and look at that. And there is actually another way of doing it. You won't be able to do it on a desktop, but what you can do if you've got a you know, Android, iOS phone or tablet, you'll be able to jump in and you'll be able to use the Lumix Sync app. And in the Sync app, if you connect your phone to it, it knows which phone you've got, and it does a kind of like a firmware version tracking. So every time a new firmware is released, they push it to the app. You potentially might need to update the app to get the firmware update, but they'll push it to the app, and it'll kind of say there's some new firmware to be released. They're generally pretty good at pushing it to the app in sort of good time, so it should be there today, available for you to kind of do. And doing it through the app, all you've got to do is, you know, you connect your camera to it, and then you can use the phone interface for doing it, rather than putting a card in the camera and, you know, in your PC and doing it all that way. So if you don't really, you know, have access to a laptop or a desktop or anything like that, then the Lumix Sync app is a really good way to do it, you know. So I've got a video about that up in the corner, so if you want to update it using the Lumix Sync app, just jump into that video. It'll tell you how to do all of that. Obviously you need to be connected to the app, which is a whole other thing, but it doesn't take that long. And again, like there's a video there, I think it links to it in that video. So yeah, just be sure to like I say, come in, check it out, and then definitely sort of take a look and update it when you've got time. I wouldn't kind of do it if you've got, you know, mission critical work coming up, because there is always a very tiny possibility of something happening to your camera. But just make sure your battery's charged and, you know, you're all kind of set up and ready to go to do the update, and yeah, you should be good to go. Yeah, that's it really. So just to say it's there, make sure you download it, and yeah. And you know, if you've got any questions or anything like that, feel free to drop them in the comments. And if you want more updates like this, then please subscribe.